broken, bruised, okay?
And this would relate to
Either way.
condemned chickens, Your Honor, because a bruised or broken bird.
They've got the issue condemned.
Correct. And we were not provided any of these documents. In fact, we were not provided, as far as I can tell, any documents related to condemnation law.
Okay.
And this is not exhaustive. I think our witness would come in today, right now, and testify. There are likely dozens of other documents available. She gave us a small sliver of what she knew just offhand immediately should have been produced. And we can call her and have her testify now, and she'll say there should be dozens of other documents.
All right, so let's go to the documents that have already been produced. Mr. Helsley, not sure which one I'm looking at. Which would be the one that would show chickens on that day at issue that's condemned disease or deceased?
That would be the PPS 041, the top.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I apologize that it didn't print out the best.
All right.
But at the top, you can see it has the house number, it has the date, 9/20/2021 from Lake 3, which is the house it came from. And if you look at the top, again, it's kind of hard to read, but then it has,
The head count?
yeah, the total is 127,000 at the bottom that came in. And that's the third, yeah, you're right, Ron, the head count.
You have the gross weight, the average, is it average weight, or what is it? Like, it's kind of hard to read.
Yeah, average weight, and then it has a, not gonna read this, it's a leak number, and it moves through, and then if there's a disease, it says like ear sac, at the top, right in the bottom middle column. It has the next on the left, I believe that's the skin, issue. Then next to that, it says other. That other is the other diseases that they uploaded from the tally sheet under there. And you move over to the third to last column, it says DOA. Those are the dead on arrivals, 220.
Okay, gotcha. All right. And this is,
Yeah, that's that date.
October 5th, 2021. So this was a report, I mean, it might have been recently generated, but that was inputted at the time, right?
I'm sorry, which document are you looking at, Your Honor?
I'm looking at the PPS 041.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, at the bottom you have date October 5th, 2021. I'm just asking how, that's when it was inputted, the document, at the very bottom,
I see the.
daily field ranch report.
Yeah, I don't see the date, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just the bottom center.
Page 1 of 1.
Bottom center under daily field ranch
Oh,
report.
mine's got
It'll say,
Oh, yours got it.
That's why.
Okay.
it says October 6th, 2021.
Okay. Yeah, that I imagine is probably uploaded.
Uploaded on that date.
Would be my.
Okay.
And this appears to be an attachment to an email that was sent on February 28, 2023, which is one of our concerns, that these are documents prepared much after the date in anticipation of some sort of.
Well, they might have produced to you that day and in preparation for the subpoena to responsive to the subpoena, but it doesn't mean these documents were prepared. But
That
it
is
doesn't
true.
mean these,
Yeah,
That
is true, Your Honor.
The email was sent, and I believe is from Fred Sanderson. He's the Assistant General Counsel. He was helping get the information, and he sent it. I should have removed his name, copied incorrectly.
all right,
These are created, as I said, within 6 months, shorter than that. They're uploaded to the system's PPC SO41 report, and then they are discarded after that. This is what we have that day.
all right. You know, we gotta move on, because we got a jury that's waiting, but here's gonna be the court's indicated is, what has been produced by Foster Farms substantially complies with these subpoena. However, the court's gonna ask Foster Farms counsel, go back and do your diligent search to see if there are the receiving reports as well as the weekly module check reports for that day or for that week regarding that batch. And there's a third, which is the tally sheet. You already indicated tally sheet does not exist anymore. Okay, but I don't know if the other two, it might be, these are all handwritten notes. So if your position is that tally sheets do not exist anymore, I don't know if the other two would exist either. Do you have the other documents?
I have them with me.
Yeah.
Council gave me a copy, so I will go check. I don't know if they exist or not.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's see if you can get those, do your diligence search and respond to the court by Monday at 1:30.
That's fine, Your Honor.
And then I would ask you to appear again before the court at 1:30 and indicate that to the court one way or the other.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And if I could just, would it be all right if we also requested any other documents related to disease? Because the production provided to us so far.
No, let's stay with this. I think this is responsive. And I've already indicated that what's already been provided in their computer-generated form substantially in compliance. What the court wants to see is if there are actually any handwritten contemporaneous notes that will corroborate your computer-generated documents. And if there aren't any existing, the court would like to know that. If there are, they are to be produced by Monday at 1:30.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Mr. Kobe, this is your motion for gap order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that the motion that you just filed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, give me a chance to read.
Yes, Your Honor.
Kobe? In
Your-
pub,
Your Honor, the video appears to be outside of the courthouse. The video appears to be I'll call it a media quality interview of counsel. And it was discovered by the people this morning.
and they are published, in the public already?
Published on YouTube. There's also another YouTube video that we watched that deals with this case while counsel was interviewed that stated they'll be back at 4:30 today, online again, publishing something else. So I believe this is an urgent issue that needs to be addressed.
All right, Mr. Chung, you want to respond?
Yeah, I'll let co-counsel who's actually a little more experienced on First Amendment issues also chime in. I will say, my understanding, this is a video that was posted, I'm not even familiar where exactly it was posted, this is the first time hearing about it. It was posted on an animal rights website that has 153 views to a completely different audience. And the standard here, even by the prosecution's own contention, is that it must have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicated proceeding in the matter. So a video that's posted to an animal rights website and has been viewed by 153 animal advocates across the entire globe is very unlikely, and I'd say almost vanishingly unlikely, to materially prejudice an adjudicated proceeding in this matter. I also think attorneys have First Amendment rights, just as other individuals do. There's been no gag order in this case. A gag order would be highly inappropriate as a prior restraint. I'm not as well versed in First Amendment law as co-counsel Mr. Carraway, so I would respectfully ask Mr. Carraway to have an opportunity.
Well, let me just say, you do have First Amendment rights, but you're also an officer of the court.
Of course.
And you have ethical responsibilities as well. So if the statements that you make impugn the integrity of the court, you're at risk of being sanctioned by the court. So yeah, I think it's getting close. Mr.
I
Carroll?
don't even have the video, so I'm not even sure what is being indicated here. The jury's not going to hear that now because of the judge's ruling, which is kind of infuriating. I don't recall what that is, and I have to review it, but I literally got notice 15 seconds ago about.
Well, what you're suggesting there is that somehow the judge is preventing evidence from coming in, that somehow the judge's evidence, the ruling is above the standards of the law, or and that goes to impugning the integrity of the court. You can disagree with the judge's ruling, and you have the right to do that by motions for reconsideration, by filing an appeal, but to suggests that in the public that the court is doing something improper, I think we're getting pretty close to sanctionable conduct.
I
Mr.
understand.
Carraway, anything else?
I understand, Your Honor. I would just say, I'm guessing if we played the entire video, I also said in that same video, from what I recall, the judge has been very fair, and I think these are rulings that I understand. And the fact that I'm frustrated that my client might not be able to present certain evidence doesn't have to necessarily be an attack on the court. It just could be a demonstration of frustration here of the 153 people on some random video. But again, I haven't seen the video. I don't recall what I said. Someone put a camera in my face right when I was walking out of court, and I made a brief comment, as I've often done. And I apologize to the court for any attack on the integrity of the court. That certainly wasn't my intent. And I will draw that statement to the extent I made a statement of that sort. But I think my guess is if you play the entire video, I also said at various points, I think the court has been fair. The judge is applying the law to us. There are certain arguments we're making that are difficult arguments, and we're not necessarily going to win them. So one little snippet of a, I don't know how long is the video?
An hour.
An hour-long video, one little snippet, that's probably the worst snippet, certainly the worst snippet,
Sorry,
is not
35
representative.
minutes. That's
35-minute video, 7 words taken from a 35-minute video. I would be happy for Your Honor to view the entire video if they would provide it to us. I don't know where it was posted. You're certainly entitled to look at it yourself and decide for yourself whether there's any violation of bar rules. And if there is, I'll certainly apologize and understand where the court is coming from.
Your Honor, let me clarify my concern. I haven't watched the video. I will state that at many points, counsel does indicate the court is being fair. This is a specific concern because it's being published about a Merced County trial that is ongoing where a jury is being selected. It's very easy for jurors to pick up on this. And the statements of the defendant, of counsel, unfortunately what the jury is not going to hear, just so you all can hear, was what was in those FOIA records. I mean, there's some disturbing, and he goes on to then, from there, detailing specific evidence that the court had already excluded, and then closes by saying that the jury's not going to be able to hear that now because of the judge's ruling, which is kind of infuriating. Now, I don't challenge his ability to disagree with the court's rulings. As Your Honor's aware, I've disagreed with Your Honor's rulings before. Where I do take issue is specifically taking excluded evidence on a media-like setting, and I understand he's saying that right now there's only 153 views, but published by the entity involved. Well, we're still picking a jury and talking about evidence that under eliminating motion number 14 has been excluded. That's the big concern, and that's the reason for my request.
Sure.
Thank you. Your Honor, I just need to emphasize just how few people have, at this moment, watched this video. 153 people on, it's not the Merced local paper and that's how many people, it's anyone that has access to the internet. So the fear that this is somehow going to taint a jury pool and ultimately deprive the defendants of their right to a fair trial, which is the standard for which gag orders are judged, is highly attenuated and speculative. And I think I quoted this a few days ago when the prosecution already sought a gag order. A prior restraint on free speech through a gag order is one of the most intolerable things the court can do for the First Amendment. And the standard for a gag order is reasonable likelihood that it will deprive a defendant of a fair trial. But there's a second part, and it is, has the court exhausted all its other remedies? And included in that, of that sort of exhausted list, is an extensive and searching voir dire of jurors. And certainly the court is free, and obviously now is the most appropriate time to inquire if anyone heard any news about this. That would be certainly a less restrictive alternative than a gag order. I'm willing to presume, based on the few amount of views that are on this video, that the court's probably not going to get a lot of hands with respect to that. But it's not even just whether or not extrajudicial statement could reach one juror. It's not enough, and I'm quoting from Columbia Broadcasting Systems Incorporated versus U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. That is 729 F 2nd 1174. It's a Ninth Circuit case out of 1984. And quote, thus it is not enough that publicity might prejudice one directly exposed to it. If it is to be restrained, the publicity must threaten to prejudice the entire community so that 12 unbiased jurors cannot be found. And I think that is really emphasizing the high quantum of evidence and prejudice that must exist before a court could even consider a gag order. On the 3.6 issue, I would sort of note that the standard's oddly enough a little higher, substantial likelihood that the speaker knows that there's a substantial likelihood that it would prejudice. And I don't think that standard has been met either, because this is FOIA documents, documents that I think are publicly known and available outside of the context of this trial. And again, I think looking at the way it's been presented, it goes to a fairly niche audience of individuals who honestly probably wouldn't have made it through voir dire in this case in the first place, because it's sort of a self-selecting group, as we saw with the jurors that were excused because they had certain opinions about police or corporations and things like that. So I just think a request for a gag order, we're nowhere close to that with respect to the reasonable likelihood of depriving these women of their right to a fair trial or an exhaustion of the less specific remedies. And I'm happy to sort of cite the litany of Supreme Court cases that set out that standard if the court needs it.
Well, the gag order, I think, Mr. Colby, you're asking with regard to counsel only, aren't you?
Yes, Your Honor, the
Okay.
order is narrowly tailored within the confines of Rule 3.6B, and the one specific is that he be enjoined from publicizing evidence ruled inadmissible.
That would be the concern of the court is counsel that we not try this case, and particularly evidence that have been excluded, and somehow the jury is, whether we're in the midst of selecting a jury or the jury is impaneled and we're in the midst of trial, that, extrajudicial evidence not come in and be considered. And particularly if it's coming from counsel, that, there are certain things that the jury is not hearing. And the jury somehow hears about that, that is very concerning to the court. And so the court agrees with the people at this point. The court is going to issue an order that counsel, both sides, are not to discuss any matters, any evidence during the pendency of this trial, evidence of this trial during the pendency of this trial, outside of the courtroom. Okay.
Your Honor, I
While
understand,
court's
Your Honor.
not in session.
Yeah, I understand, Your Honor. I do want to apologize for any attack on the court's integrity. I think if you watch the entire video, you'll see that it was not intended to be an attack on the
All right.
integrity of the court tribunal. And I'd also like to add, I did understand the person who was videotaping me to be an animal rights activist. I
Good.
did not perceive this as a reporter or anyone other than an animal rights activist who's broadcasting to a very small audience of animal rights
Apology accepted.
advocates. So thank you,
All
Mark.
right.
And Your Honor, if I may, having viewed the whole video, I would concur with counsel's statements that he appears to me to not have meant any insult to the court.
Okay.
I just raised the issues I did for the specific.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. I might have misread the narrow reading of the motion. So, all right.
And Your Honor, if I could just make
Yes.
a brief record pursuant to, I guess all our parties' First Amendment rights under their state and federal constitutions. I'm concerned about the wording of the court's order that goes to any matters or any evidence in this case. I would understand a more narrowly tailored limitation
Evidence that have been excluded.
on inadmissible, but, and again, a prior restraint does become overbroad if it prohibits speech on matters that would not affect the fairness of trial, and that a limitation on an attorney's speech, quote, should be no broader than necessary to protect the integrity of the judicial system and the defendant's right to a fair trial. That's from Gentile versus State Bar of Nevada, 501 U.S. 1030. So having our prior objection fundamentally to the gag order on the record, we would further object to the breadth of the court's language and ask the court to at least narrow it.
Do you have a language that you suggest is more narrowly tailored?
Yes, Your Honor. First off, I do agree that Gentile says you should not restrict counsel's speech more than necessary. Rule 3.6, however, is the standard with which we comply. So my requested order is that counsel not publicly discuss any matters other than permitted by Rule 3.6 and not discuss any evidence ruled inadmissible. My specific concern being, especially during the pendency of the trial, once we have a jury impaneled, a curious juror who unfortunately looks up something that we tell them not to might find this and cause a mistrial. I'm trying to look in that regard. So that's my specific wording.
All right. Is that acceptable? That would be the language of the court would adopt?
I think it's vague. I still think it's vague. And, you know, for instance, there's some evidence that the court may have deemed inadmissible.
Well, I don't know, we can specify every language, what you can't say, that's exactly what you're trying to tell the court not to do. But, you know, if there are some statements that, I don't know, we can be more specific than that. The Rule 3.6 is pretty clear about that, so we'll just adopt the language of Rule 3.6.
And I would just suggest it be articulated to specific inadmissible evidence, because even just inadmissible evidence still doesn't rise to the character that will cause a reasonable likelihood of depriving them of fair trial. That's not the standard. So, for instance, if there's evidence that was deemed inadmissible for some technical hearsay grounds, for instance, that may not necessarily deprive the defendant of a fair trial to warrant a gag order. So I think
we
if
can't
the
go through every evidence that's inadmissible at this point. It's just impossible.
and that's the vagueness concerns that
Yeah.
I have with the prosecution's wording. So if the prosecution has specific articulable concerns like the FOIA records,
Well,
we can litigate that.
yeah, counsel, I don't think, I think it's just impossible. We'll stick with the language that's proposed by the people pursuant to Rule 2.6, and Mr. Kobe, if you will, submit an order to the court regarding that language.
Yes, sir.
But I would just caution both sides, okay, to be very careful, because, you know, obviously, there's media interest in this case, and both of you are very passionate about your issues and what this case stands for. And so I would just caution you to be very careful.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, that actually reminds me, do you want me to draft a proposed order regarding the subpoena that we just ruled on, or do you think the oral ruling is sufficient?
No, I think that's sufficient, and let's see what happens on Monday.
Okay, great, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna bring the panel that's from courtroom 2 yesterday in here. I don't know if there's gonna be enough room for you. If there's enough room, certainly you can be here, but we're gonna give priority to the panel in second. So I'm gonna just discuss, work through, and so we are behind schedule, but thank you for your patience, thank you for coming back. Before we start, let me just indicate that I know we're dealing with a lot of wet weather right now, and there's concern flooding in some neighborhoods and some communities in our county. The court is certainly sympathetic to that, and if that applies to any of you, let's go ahead and talk about that now, see if I can go ahead and excuse you. In fact, the court has received an email or notice from 3 prospective jurors, and juror number 174 would be on our list. Batch number 2974 has indicated that she is under a mandatory evacuation notice, and so she is not here this afternoon. The court will go ahead. Are you here?
Sure.
Oh, you are. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and excuse you, Matt. Okay, thank you. Okay, best of luck to you. We also have juror number 103, batch number 6264. Okay, 6264 here. All right, she's also, she indicated that she had COVID symptoms, and the court will go ahead and excuse her. Juror number 170, batch number 9058. It's 9058 here. Okay, you are, sir. I understand that your house, you're being evacuated because of flooding situation. I'm gonna go ahead and excuse you. Okay, okay, good luck to you. Is anybody under similar situation, circumstances because of the rain situation? Juror number 6?
I live in Las Bañas,
Yeah.
and the rats may be flooded, I'm not sure. I would like to continue going
Sure.
there, but I
Right.
just don't know if it would be
You're in Los
flooded.
Bañas. Yeah, let's wait and see, because I think that, if you come through Martin Luther King, that might be flooded, but there are a couple of ways through 165 to 33, a couple of ways you can come up through too, so typically I think 165 is okay, no?
So, or 140.
Yeah, and 140, that's typically, that's better.
You're welcome to take her.
Gur as well, yeah. Yeah, so a couple ways to get here, yes, sir.
I live off of Bear Creek. The water got to my garage, inside my garage last time. So, I mean, if it's as bad as it was last time, it'll be in my garage, it won't be in my house, so.
Right, right,
Either way, I mean, it should be okay, but
yeah. I mean, it's getting pretty close in some neighborhoods, not
Yeah.
exactly there yet. I think the weather's supposed to clear up a little bit tomorrow, I don't know about today, but
yeah. There's no water as of now, so.
as of now, and looks like you're on Bear Creek?
Yeah.
Okay, looks like Bear Creek is okay for now,
Yeah.
okay.
Sir, if something does like that happen and it does flood like overnight or something, what do we come in? I mean, are we obligated to come in?
Well, if you have an emergency, please, if you can't come in, please call the clerk's office so we know what's going on and give your badge number, we know what's going on. All right, council, yes, ma'am.
I live in Panada.
Yes.
They also gave the warning for evacuation.
Right, yeah, I do see, I did see the evacuation, notice from the sheriff came through last night for Planada and like parts of La Grande. Is part of your neighborhood, impacted by that evacuation order?
Not yet.
Not yet? How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable waiting to see what happens?
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's do that. Okay, anybody else? Okay, all right, thank you, Lisa. All right, council, when we broke yesterday, I think we had excused, 2 jurors. What I'm gonna do at this point is, do we wanna start with the Wardire, or should we fill in the 2 empty seats? Okay.
I think there are 3 empty seats, Your Honor.
The 3 empty seats? Oh, that's right, yeah. Let's go ahead and just fill in 3 more people, make sure we have enough people.
Juror number 9126.
Are here, just called, sir, juror number 2, is there anything that we had talked yesterday, that jumps out at you, that you think the court needs to know about?
Yeah, there are several issues, but some of them I want to talk not in public.
Oh, you wanna do it in private? Sure, we can do that, so if you will just hang on a little bit. Okay, and juror number, 2019, anything that we talked about yesterday that you think might cause you to be unable to be fair and impartial if you're selected as a juror?
Maybe 1 or 2 things.
Yeah, what would those be?
Mostly I have a bias against corporations. I follow politics, so I have specific issues with foster farms and their lobbying for health safety standards, employee rights, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Do you have some, okay, and because of those issues, do you think you can't be fair and impartial if you select as a juror?
I would do my best, but it's always a possibility, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Is that from your personal experience with foster farms or from things you read in the media? Or how do you come about having this?
Things I read, I've been part of like labor organization stuff.
Okay.
I did a little bit of Occupy, so.
Against
Not foster farms, but corporations generally, and then because of my extensive reading of politics, I know a lot about like what different companies do for lobbying and regulatory capture and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, I already have from what we've discussed here, I already have a kind of idea of why this case is even happening in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I can look past that, but I know it's there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. And it'd be difficult for you, you think, to put those things aside and have a clear mind as you judge the
Yeah.
case?
Yeah.
Okay. It's sometimes that's what we ask people to do, but in reality, it's difficult to do that. Right, and so I appreciate your honesty. I'm gonna go ahead and excuse you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah,
I don't know anybody from foster farms nor also, but I do have pet chickens.
okay, you do raise chickens
Yes.
yourself. Okay, how many chickens you have?
Not a lot, just like 10
Okay, 10 chickens. Are they for personal consumption or pets or
pets.
pets? Okay. And anything about your, having raised chickens as pets, how would that affect your ability, if any, to keep a fair open mind in this case?
I don't think I can be open.
You don't think you can? Or would you would favor one side over the other?
Yeah.
Okay, can you elaborate on that a little bit? I'm sorry?
I'm not too sure.
You're not too sure? I mean, does that mean that you would favor the defendants because they're animal rights activists, you care a lot about your chickens, so as you stand here today, as you sit here today, you would have a predisposition or you would have a leaning toward the defendants in this case? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that what you were trying to tell the court? Okay, all right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and excuse you. Okay, thank you. Okay, have you heard it, all the things that we've been talking about yesterday morning and afternoon? No,
yeah,
let's see, I'm sorry, juror number 19, I'll start with juror number 19.
Yes.
Okay. Anything that jumps out at you that we should know about?
Not necessarily, but what I've experienced with my family has dairies, and they had activists trespassing to their property and cut the fences and let their cattle out.
Mm,
I don't think that was right.
okay. Is this in the county?
Actually, in Modesto.
In Modesto. Okay, you said these are family members.
Yes.
Okay, and when was the last time something like this happened?
Not 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, those memories still kind of fresh in your mind?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have strong feelings about that?
Yeah, because they were just trying to make a living.
Yeah. Okay. So, again, we have discussed the defendants are animal rights activists. It's been brought up. Because of that, would you be able to keep a fair open mind toward them?
I don't think so.
You don't think you can do that? Okay, all right. I appreciate your honesty. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and excuse you. Okay, thank you, sir. Chickens or having animal pets? Okay, and no affiliation with foster farms?
No,
Okay, don't know anybody here?
I don't know anybody.
All right, do not know anybody who is in law enforcement
No.
or is in law enforcement? Okay. All right, we'll call another juror, just see. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to comment that the story was an Inside Edition last night, and I was watching. I
Okay.
didn't watch the story, I changed the channel, but I just want to
Okay.
make you
Well,
aware of that.
all right, thank you for mentioning. We'll talk to you in a minute. Okay, wait, let's do that. Let's talk about it.
Juror number 1825.
1825.
1825.
Yeah, go on to the next one.
5187. Number 19.
That jumps out at you, that applies to you that we've been talking about.
Do have friends and family, both law enforcement. I have worked at foster farm, 1 or 2 that are still working at foster farms. I have been part of a trial that reached a very criminal case.
Okay,
And unfortunately, I have a bias.
okay, tell me about your bias.
My bias, mainly because of the statement that was stated saying that they did take video camera recorded what they did. So, unfortunately for me, I would be towards against them.
Okay, so you're saying that if something's captured on video, that's it for you?
Correct.
Okay. And you say you have close family members who work for foster farms?
Friends.
Friends who work for foster farms?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and for those various reasons, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you think you cannot be fair to the defense in this case, okay? All right, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and excuse you. Thank you. All right. How about you? Juror number 19.
Well, I worked for Foster Farms at one time.
You did?
Yep.
Okay, how long was that ago?
The 80s.
Okay, that was a while back ago. What did you do for them?
Construction crew.
Oh, construction crew?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't deal directly with chicken?
Well, I used to work at a chicken ranch too.
Oh, okay, you did?
Egg layers.
Okay. All right, so, what, anything about those experience? You,
Well,
would,
we had to kill chickens sometimes. You know,
Mhm.
they were sick. And then, you know, put them out of the misery.
right.
So I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but
Well, how would those experience affect you? Work for Foster Farms at one time, let's just say today, you know, the alleged victim is Foster Farms. Would you, you know, seem to favor the prosecution because, or hold it against the defendants
yeah,
because?
I'm not too much into bleeding heart type things.
Okay. Well, yeah, can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by that?
Well, as far as, you know, she's trying to save some chickens
Mhm.
and they're trying to make food for people.
Yeah,
And it's one or the other, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to make food
Right.
for people. If we eat meat, we eat meat.
okay. All right, so, you know, there's some indication council had talked extensively, if you have heard about, there's, you know, part of the reason in this case is not, you know, that it happened or why it happened, but for you, it doesn't matter why it happened?
No.
Okay, all right. Anything else you'd like to know? Okay, all right. Okay, you know, I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and excuse you.
All right, thanks.
Good afternoon, sir. Anything that applies to you?
I had felonies before.
You have what?
Felonies?
Felonies? Okay. I don't think the California law has changed on that to allow. It has?
I understand you that.
It has, okay. Yeah, thank you for disclosing. Is anything, so you're not prevented from serving on a jury now because of that conviction? Okay, you're okay. But is there anything about that experience that you think caused you to have a difficult time being fair and open-minded? You're shaking your head no?
No.
Okay, do you, is it in this county or some other county?
Santa Cruz County.
Santa Cruz. Because of that experience, do you have any ill will toward law enforcement or folks from the district attorney's office? No? Okay, and so you can be fair and open mind. If the, you know, police officer comes and testifies, you can, you're not gonna hold it against him because he's a police officer. Okay, thank you. And you're shaking your head. All right. Other than that, there's anything else that you think will cause you to have a difficult time being a fair and impartial juror?
No.
Okay, no, okay. And no relations with Foster Farms? Don't know any family or friends who work there? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, what I'm gonna do now is, you know, I'm gonna come back, well, let's do this. Before I ask you to give us your information on whiteboard, I'm gonna talk to juror number 2 and juror number 7. Okay, so would you please be patient? We're gonna go just during
Just
the
stay
break.
seated for a moment.
No, sir. All right, juror number 2, thank you for your patience. Anything else that anything that we've been talking about for the last day and a half that you think we should know about?
No.
No, no relations with Foster Farms? Don't know anybody involved in this case? Any strong feelings about animal activism one way or the other?
I'd say pretty neutral.
Pretty neutral, okay, all right. Any relations with law enforcement? No? Okay, all right, very good. And if you are selected as a juror, you can keep a fair open mind? Okay, all right. And, you know, I'm gonna get the attorneys to follow up with some questions, but if you have anything that will cause you to be unable to be fair and open mind, to have a fair open mind, please let us know. Okay, so at this point then, I'm gonna ask you, if you will, give us your information on the whiteboard. Okay.
So, I'm an RPA developer, and it basically is a robotic process automation. I have no spouse, no children. I live here in Merced, and I have no prior jury service.
Okay, thank you. Juror number 19, can you give us your information on the whiteboard?
I'm a truck driver. I don't have a spouse. I don't have children. I live in Los Baños.
Okay. Any prior jury experience?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, thank you. And juror number 20.
I deliver for UPS, no spouse, no children, Los Baños, and no jury service.
Okay. Okay, very good. I think what I'm gonna do at this point is, I'm gonna, you know, go ahead and allow the people to, order of the 3 new one, as well as the other ones that you had not had a chance to order, and then I'll turn to the defense to order the 3 new people, okay?
2 through 2019 are the new ones, as well as 13, 14, 15, and 18. And it's the ones I have not questioned, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
You can talk to me for what it's worth.
Oh.
For what it's worth.
And 21.
21, okay.
You've heard a lot from myself and defense counsel, and you may have noticed it works about us, our speech patterns, how we act. Like, for example, you probably all have noticed by now that I have sometimes I'm getting the words out or stutter with my language of our new jurors and our jurors that have previously been, that I haven't questioned yet. And would you be able to put any opinions about counsel side, either myself or defense attorney, and only he decide based on the facts? Very good. 13, I believe you said your company, he works with foster farms indirectly?
Yeah, I mean, they're a supplier for our company, yeah.
But you don't work with foster farms?
No, well, not directly, no.
And you've never interacted with, have you ever interacted with foster farms?
Not to my knowledge, no, maybe a rep here and there, but no one who owns it or is a president or anything of that kind of stature, I guess.
Given that, would you be able to put whatever relationship you have aside and decide this case only on the facts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would try. I mean, you know, obviously like the other guys said, like, I would assume that my connection to them, I guess, would be bad, is what they kind of said, but, I mean, I don't know.
But do you think that, would that be on your mind, find it?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it would be, but, I mean, I guess I maybe would, I don't want to say side with them, but I could understand maybe the reason why they would have a issue with them stealing chickens, you know, obviously, if, from my occupation, I guess.
Understood. And just to all of the new jurors, or you understand I represent the people of the state of California. Okay, just want to clarify that. Number 14, in you also, similar question, would you, if you're instructed to put any, if you're concerned, or decide and decide only on the facts, would you be able to do so?
Sure.
If I do not meet my burden of proving this case beyond a reasonable doubt, would you find the defendants not guilty?
I don't know, that's a hard question. Now, stealing is stealing, and that's the way I see it. I don't know.
Thank you for being honest, but if you're instructed and to not find defendants not guilty if I've not met the burden, could you do that?
Your Honor, objection, just asked and answered. I think it's the same question twice.
Ma'am, did you understand the question the first time?
What he's asking me is if he instructs me to find the lady not guilty,
No, if the court does. That was my question.
the court, okay, yes.
Your Honor, I don't think that was actually the
I
question.
think, I
It's
don't
not-
know,
The court
yeah.
doesn't have the right to instruct someone to find a
Okay.
defendant not guilty.
Can you restate the question?
Yeah, okay, if the court will instruct you that if I don't meet my burden, and you are to find not guilty, if I don't meet my burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt, would you have a problem finding or any difficulty finding the defendants not guilty?
Okay, no.
Okay, thank you. Juror number 18?
Yeah.
A similar question, will you be able to put your experience growing aside and only decide this case based on the facts presented and the law presented?
Yeah.
If I do not meet my burden in proving this case beyond a reasonable doubt, would you have any problem finding the defendants not guilty? Now, 2:19 and 20, do you have any concern with anything I've asked? Would you all be able to find the defendant not guilty if I do not meet my burden? And conversely, would you be able to find the defendant guilty if I met my burden?
Yeah.
And just, and number 19, that's a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Strong, just to the three, if you have any follow-up questions.
Keep it concise. I mean, you can probably guess my first question is going to be about animals, right? So maybe I'll start with you, sir. Number 20, I think it is.
Yeah.
Have you had any experiences working with animals or animal production companies in any way?
No.
No? Okay. Have you had any experiences in a company that is supplying to or buying from a company that's selling animal products or involved in
I've delivered to foster farms before.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
Well, they got 3 delivery spots in there, so it's kind of hard to find them. My first time delivering.
Sure.
But other than that, I just there dropping off their stuff.
Okay.
In and out.
So they're just kind of just like any other delivery spot. It's not a significant. I mean, I think you said you deliver for UPS. Correct?
Yeah.
So it's not like this is a particularly important customer of your company or anything like that.
I mean, we go there every day, so.
Oh. Every day.
Not me specifically.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
How often are you there?
When I first started, I was there a lot just because, bottom seniority guy.
Okay.
But now I'm not usually there.
Okay. Tell me more about that. Does that mean interact? Because I understand UPS at a residential location.
Right.
How does it work commercially? It's probably a little different when you're delivering commercially because it's
you
bigger
have
shipments, right?
You have your docks,
I see.
different locations, security. You have to go through a lot for foster farms.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's probably a much larger delivery than to say a residential.
100%, yeah.
Okay. And that means more engagement with the employees and
Right.
talking to everybody. Okay. So tell me more about what sort of relationship you have with the employees when you're delivering to foster farms.
No relationship, just hi, bye, where do you want it at?
Okay. So it didn't sound like you became
No.
good friends with anybody
No,
or
no,
had
no.
some sort of strong affinity. Okay.
No.
And you said you're not doing that any longer.
No.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Sir, in 19, do you have any experiences working?
I picked up loads from Tyson.
Tyson, okay. And tell me more, what does that mean, picked up loads? Were you a delivery? You're a truck driver, okay, great. So just tell me more about the experience. What did that entail exactly? Just driving?
Pick up the loads and deliver it to a different warehouse.
Okay, so you mean, and by loads, do you mean chickens?
After the process.
After they process them, okay. So these aren't live chickens, these are kind of chickens that have already been processed and you meat, okay. Did you interact a lot with the company?
No.
No, okay. Did you develop any feelings about kind of Tyson or poultry production, one way or the other? No? Okay. And as you heard, this is kind of a dispute between a poultry production company, not Tyson, but similar to Tyson, and folks who maybe had some criticisms of them. Based on your experience, please. Oh, you picked up for Foster Farms too? Okay. So tell me about that. What was that experience like?
Livingston.
Say again?
I picked up at Livingston.
Livingston. Okay, so the Livingston plant at issue in this case. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean you were an employee of Foster Farms or were you a contractor?
Oh, different company. I work for a different company.
Okay, so basically you were working for a company that then worked with Foster Farms, but you were picking up for Foster Farms. They had basically hired your company. Okay. And how long ago was that?
5 years ago.
5 years ago, okay. And how long were you a truck driver for Foster Farms? Or I guess to clarify, a contractor for Foster Farms, I think is probably the right, is that what you were?
I just drive for a company.
Okay, so I guess maybe the
15
company,
years.
15 years. And those 15 years were picking up for Foster Farms?
No, different places.
Different places, so Foster Farms, Tyson, other companies, okay. So I guess, I mean, the point of this line of questioning is just to determine whether you have some sort of pre-linear judgment, what a lawyer would call bias, based on an experience like that. And thank you very much for sharing that, because I think that is relevant, because this does involve a truck, it involves a poultry company, it involves Foster Farms, all of which were a line of business and employment you were in. So based on your experience picking up for Foster Farms or Tyson, do you think you have any prejudgment one way or the other about kind of the companies involved? No? Okay. In a case involving activists who are, for example, criticizing or demonstrating or had some concern about people picking up chickens from a place like Foster Farms, would you feel personally attacked in any way or feel like you had any personal judgment?
No.
No? You feel like you could be neutral? Okay, great. Can you just tell me more about that experience for Foster Farms? Or I guess, to be clear, picking up poultry for Foster Farms and Tyson for 15 years. Was this your primary job?
I'm still a truck driver. Okay,
you're still a truck driver, okay. And what was it like? Was it a good experience, a bad experience?
Good experience.
Good experience, okay, fantastic. And did you ever interact with anyone who had concerns about these poultry production companies while you were employed? Or as, I think you're still employed. Are you still picking up poultry products?
No, different places.
Okay, but not Foster Farms or Tyson? Okay, what are you picking up now?
Salad.
Salad, okay, that's a big deal, big change, okay. Anything else about your background that might, inform your ability to assess in a neutral way the facts in a case like this one? No, not that you can think of? Okay. I'll go to 2. So, anything you'd like to share about experiences of a commercial animal production that you've had?
I guess the only thing is I used to work at, my first job was at McDonald's.
McDonald's?
So that's pretty much the closest thing to it.
Okay, great. And how long ago was that?
So it was from 2018 to end of 2020.
Okay, so 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And do you have any strong feelings about kind of animal production or meat production as a result of that experience?
Wait, can you repeat the question?
Sorry, do you have strong feelings about a company like Foster Farms? Because McDonald's is not directly comparable, but it's in some ways comparable. Do you have any strong feelings about Foster Farms, for example, as a result of that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have strong feelings.
Okay. Great, thank you. It doesn't sound like any of you, because then I think the judge queried this a little bit. Have any of you had a negative experience with an animal advocate? Like someone who's just a little too extreme, a preachy vegan, that sort of thing?
No.
No? Okay. And you, sir? No? Okay, great. And I guess 2 other things I want to address that, again, you heard me address previously, so I'll be concise. any hardships you're going through that might lead you to rush to judgment in a case like this. Because I know there's the rain and the economic climate isn't the best for a lot of folks in California. Anything like that, juror number 20?
No.
No, you doing good? Good? Okay, great. And 19? No? Okay. And 2? Okay. Okay, and last thing I'll say is just about law enforcement. I think all you testified previously that you wouldn't have any particular affinity for law enforcement or not for law enforcement. And just to refresh your memories, it's not just that we want to make sure someone doesn't have a family member in law enforcement and therefore is biased, but even if you just have some preconceived view from television, for example, or just from your education or background, that I should trust law enforcement more than someone who's not in law enforcement. Juror 20, do you have any views or experiences that would lead you to be prejudging a case like that? Okay, no. And it sounds like you already answered with respect to your own personal history, which I'm grateful to you for sharing. It sounds like you'd be pretty even-minded. Okay, great. And 2, no concerns? Thank you. Well, any other sources of bias you can think of that you want to make the court aware of today? 21 or 20?
Nothing.
19? No biases you can think of that might affect you in a case like this? Anything you want to share? No? Sorry, I'm referring to you, 19. Okay, great, thank you. And 2? Okay. I think that's all I've got.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've just gotten here, but counsel and the court have been going for a little while now, so we need a little bit of break as well. So I'm going to go and take a mid-afternoon break for 15 minutes. We'll resume at 8:30. Remember my admonition not to discuss the case among yourselves, not to form any opinions. Please do not have a discussion with counsel on both sides or any party involved in the case. Okay, thank you.